Today's podcast is brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook download and a 30-day free trial at www.audibletrial.com/HomeandPodcast. Over 180,000 titles to choose from your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player. Thanks, Audible, and let's get into the episode.
Does everybody know what time it is?
Home and podcast time.
That's right, Binford Tools is proud to present a Home Improvement Podcast. My name is Adam. You all know my co-host, Jordan.
Hey, how you doing, Adam?
Doing well. How are you, Jordan?
Can't complain. I know that you were a little afraid you got to see my face for just a moment.
Yeah, we don't usually record this with video, and all of a sudden your face popped up on screen, and, I was simultaneously scared and excited at the same time.
Often how people feel when they see me.
Yeah.
But, I didn't get to see you, so what's going on over there?
Hey, man, keeping
you prefer not to share
I'm
on air.
keeping it 100. Let's just say that. No.
That's good.
How's everything going for you? I heard a rumor that you maybe had some weekend misadventures you want to talk about.
Yeah, I want to know who's sharing these sorts of rumors with you. Like, is there some sort of bird, a little bird in your ear?
Woj. It was a Woj bomb.
Woj? Shams or Woj? I don't know which. There was some misadventures last weekend.
Can't wait to hear.
In Florida, so I'm sure the audience will really enjoy these stories. They're going to take up most of the podcast, so get ready for a doozy.
We didn't mention this. This is a very special misadventures episode of Home Podcast.
Yeah, we're not going to cover the show at all.
You'll be happy once we cover the show. I think you'll find that you perhaps would wish that we hadn't. So misadventures might be a preferred topic this week. But
could be.
Jordan, talk to me about what you want to talk to me about.
Well, first, before I get started in this story, I want to hear. You had my reactions to like this day in history.
Yeah.
Last episode.
Mm-hmm.
I want to just say a word to you.
Okay, sure.
And see, like, what.
I hope you'll say many words to me over the course of the next hour. But
well, if I say more than a couple at a time, I typically fumble over the words.
That's true. Yeah.
So maybe just one would be okay. But I'm just going to say the word manatee and see how you feel.
Manatee. Doesn't do a lot for me. It's all right. I'm assuming you had some kind of an interaction with the manatee.
So many interactions,
Yeah.
Several. So we had planned. We had a friend in town last weekend, and she wanted to go see the Manatees, which is apparently a thing in Florida. About hour and a half, 2 hours from us, there is this park where these manatees come in.
You lost me at driving 2 hours each way to go see manatees.
Boy, well, listen, I wasn't that excited, but then I went on TripAdvisor, and I read a review that said there were going to be scores and scores of manatee.
And a score, of course, is 20 manatees.
I thought it was 40.
4 score? No, I think it's 20.
Whatever.
Right.
Well, there was, how many scores of manatees there were?
How? I bet you didn't see any.
There were 0 manatees. We went up to the park gate, and this the woman who's working the booth comes up to our window. She says, "You here to see the manatees?" And we're like, "Yeah, we're excited because we're gonna get out of the car after 2 hours."
Mm-hmm.
And she says they're all gone.
I killed them. It's a confession.
And I thought she was so nice and friendly that I thought she was trying to have a little joke.
Yeah.
And no, she wasn't joking. I guess they ate all the food and they went back out to the Gulf or something, and maybe they'll come back later. I don't know. But so she gave us. We asked if she would know where there would be any manatees.
She's like, I got one in the back of my trunk. I don't know.
Jeez. So she actually did have a suggestion about 15 minutes south.
2 hours further west.
Yeah, into the ocean. We just rent a boat and go out there. So about 15 minutes south, there was a wildlife refuge where they take in injured animals and nurse them back to health or whatever. Happened to be 7 manatees there.
It's not even half a score, but it's something.
But you know what? It actually worked out really well. We took this little boat ride, and you go back, and they had everything from manatees to crocodile or alligators, black bear, puma, all this kind of stuff.
So basically, it was just a zoo.
Well, it's a refuge, though. They're not just... The only reason they're there is so that they can be fixed and get back out into the wild, or if they couldn't live in the wild, so they stay here and take care of them. So
interesting.
A little bit different of a flair. In that area, a lot of mailboxes with manatees holding them.
Okay, so it's just kind of a manatee territory. It's just kind of, it's a big thing.
They run that area.
Yeah, okay. Like Traverse City has the Cherry Festival. This area is kind of known for just its manatee. They probably have a manatee festival.
That I don't know about the festival, but
probably. Safe to say. I don't think it's a stretch to think that they could have a manatee festival.
No, they do have stuff like kumquat festivals in Florida. I've been to one of those.
I gotta look up what a manatee actually looks like.
They're sea cows, you know?
Oh. Why would... I'm curious as to why anyone would necessarily want to see.
Oh, they're cute.
They are?
That's
okay.
about it. Right. Yeah, they're gentle and cute and all that good stuff.
Okay.
You know, these manatees were eating just scores and scores of lettuce. That's what they were eating.
I mean, a lot of people scoring so far this episode.
Yeah, a lot of people. The other adventure,
there's more.
misadventure.
I mean, I thought we just hit our peak with that. But,
no, this one will be short and sweet. But I had thought there was
time.
going to be. Take your time. Are you looking up manatee facts?
Yeah.
Okay, good. I had thought there was going to be an art festival in Winter Park this past weekend.
Yeah.
So we made another longish drive, 45 minutes or so, to Winter Park. Got there. There was no art anywhere. And I was like, what's happening?
Yeah.
Turns out the art festival is next month, and I didn't pay attention.
You know, it seems like both stories have a common denominator, and that is that you should be calling places before you travel to them. I think.
We called that refuge before we went there just to make sure they had manatee.
Okay, all right. Well, that's good at least. You learn something, but man, I can't believe you had the wrong day on the art festival. What a gaffe.
What a gaffe.
Wow.
Yeah, real boner.
Yeah.
2 straight days.
Wow.
And it ended up working out really well. It was nice outside. We got food and there was stuff to do anyway, but just not what we intended. And all I could think about when I saw those manatees.
Yeah, what was it?
I just thought of all the jokes Tim would make about Elle's mom.
Oh, yeah, that's true. I thought you thought this is going to be good podcast fodder. Gotta bring this up on the pod.
Both. The only reason I brought up the story about the manatee was for Tim's joke about the manatees.
Oh, really? Okay, yeah, good. I wondered what purpose it served, but I liked it. I enjoyed it nonetheless. Yeah,
just educational for you as well. Since
I always like to know what you're doing on the weekends and whether or not your plans work out. And
well, you don't have a Facebook, I don't have an Instagram, so we just don't get windows into each other's lives unless we do sorts of things like this.
No, that's the truth. So yeah, this has been this Dayton manatee history. So
misadventures of Jordan.
Yeah, we need to create a jingle or something. No, yeah, Jordan.
I'm jingled out.
No more jingles. No more jingles until next December, huh?
Jingle all the way?
Yeah, all right. I guess it's time to talk about the episode. I don't know.
Bummer.
Yeah. So we're covering He Ain't... What a title. I mean, if ever a title was a barometer or a sign of how bad an episode was going to be, this is that. He ain't heavy. He's just irresponsible. So bad. So terrible. Having said that, I don't know that our titles will be any better.
Yeah, I know. I guess I should probably take it down a notch after saying that. But, episode title references the Bobby Scott / Bob Russell song. I think we all know it. He Ain't Heavy, He's My Brother. Performed by the Hollies or Neil Diamond.
Yeah, I have heard it. Not sure it's a famous enough song to use as a means of... constructing a title off of, but
it doesn't flow at all.
Yeah, it's not like they had to do it. It's not like it's a slam dunk by any means. It's very, very chunky.
So I don't know if we blame this on the episode writers, but they were Elliot Schuenman and Marley Sims. They last did The Eve of Construction, that blockbuster with just all those guest stars that you love so much, including the peanut farmer, Jimmy Carter.
Yeah, well, that's good. Elway as well, right? There were so many people in that. I can't even place them all. That was
the good thing is I'm not going to ask you to.
It's an embarrassment of riches. We do get one stellar new character this episode, and he's just a real likable guy. I would categorize him as a winner.
He's a winner. He always has been.
Yeah.
This episode aired October 18th, 1994. We alluded to some bad alternative titles. How many do you have?
4.
I actually have 5. They're all very similar, but there's 5 different variations. So.
Okay, all right, you better go first.
I better go first. The first one is Marty sucks. And the sucks refers to the vacuuming.
Okay, all right, yeah, all right. I wasn't picking up on that. All right, so here's my first one. Oh, brother.
Oh, I have that one too.
Dang it. All right, well.
No, that's good. I'll do my brother one next.
Okay.
My brother's keeper.
Oh, that's good. All right, here's my second one. Father knows absolutely nothing.
Marty McBye.
Ooh. Marty the man-child.
My last one is Holy Matrimony.
All right, my last one. Let's see if you get this. See if you. I'm doing an impression of someone. Let's see if you get it.
Okay.
My wife, Nancy.
That was
Nothing?
the impression.
Yeah,
huh?
that was it. It's Reagan, Ronald Reagan. You know.
Oh, yeah, didn't get it.
My wife, Nancy. That's any Reagan heads out there. Anybody into Reaganomics are probably going crazy in their cars.
Yeah,
right now.
they're going wild right
Yeah,
now. I prefer your Leno impression.
I think, to be honest, I think my Reagan might have been a little better right there. If you go watch some Reagan clips on your spare time, I think you're going to be more impressed. That's one that's going to age better than not.
All right, I'll do some research. And while I do that, I'll read you the plot synopsis.
Please.
Written by our pal Bernie. And this plot synopsis says, Tim wants to install a central vacuum system, and Jill is opposed. She agrees when he promises it'll be fast and a small project. Of course, things get out of hand. Tim's brother Marty arrives and tells Tim that he is leaving his wife.
Yep, but does it.
Lots of good stuff in there, Bernie. Thanks for sharing.
So highs and lows, Jordan? Or?
Yeah, there's not a lot of highs.
All right.
Open at home.
Have at it, my man.
Yeah, you said you don't have a lot of notes. That's been kind of the theme of season 4, I think, for us, is Adam doesn't have notes.
Well, the last couple episodes have been tough. There really hasn't been a lot to write. But don't mistake my lack of notes for a lack of interest, might I say. I'm here. I'm here and I'm with you. So
is that why you keep texting me all the different movie podcasts you want to do, just to get a break from season 4?
That's why I'm texting you, asking you if you're good at photoshopping, and then not following up with any additional information.
Yeah, once you found that I wasn't going to be your man, you were no longer interested in talking to me.
You good at photoshopping? No, not really. Okay.
I mean, I get it.
Yeah.
Oh, what did you say? But I'm not good at it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, don't you remember I made that sweet, was it a Twitter logo for you?
Yeah, I was thinking about starting a new project that I quickly gave up on. I don't want to get into details of it. It was a really stupid idea. But
hey, if you don't have details on the episode, we might need to get into details on your hobbies.
That's true. I'm ready to start. Let's just do this.
So we're gonna open at home. Brad has been on the phone for about 2 hours, and currently he's discussing with Ashley the tricks of how to get his hair so sexy. So he talks about the moose, and I guess you just can't get enough of these moose stories. Or
it's the first time I remember hearing Brad kind of talk about his appearance and being sort of vain, which I guess is interesting. Shows a new layer to Brad. Maybe Brad is becoming more of a pretty boy.
He is. He's got a great shirt on, and in large letters it just says cleats. So that's good.
Yeah, I wish he was playing soccer with it. It'd be a little
on the nose.
But yeah, I saw that as well.
Yeah, pretty boy Brad. He's getting into soccer. He's heavily into girls, and I guess he's heavily into talking on the phone.
I wondered where you were going to take that last one. Felt like you had taken
it too far.
Turned a corner and didn't know exactly where you were going to end up.
That's pretty much the rest of my life.
Yeah. So Tim comes home and he's got some kind of a. This is perhaps where my notes are failing me. It's a vacuum system, and it's an advanced vacuum system, and it
boy is it
somehow it comes out of the wall. And what are we to assume that it? What is its purpose?
You've never been in a house like this?
I've never been in a house, period.
Oh, well, that explains it.
Yeah.
So these systems, they basically, in a bunch of different rooms, you'll have these little outlets that hook up to this vacuum system.
Okay.
And all you have to do is have the tube instead of carrying all the cords around. You plug your little tube into the wall, basically, and it vacuums.
I'll be honest,
that's what he wants.
Doesn't seem a lot easier than just vacuuming.
It seems like a lot of work. I've only really been in one house. that had one, and I didn't get a lot of opportunity to use it, so I can't really say how well they work, but it does seem kind of annoying. But
Tim, was it like Mateen Cleave's house or something? Like somebody famous from Flint?
It was somebody my dad was painting for. Okay. They weren't famous, but they had a nicer house, and I don't know. I don't know why they did this, but they had one.
Okay.
Yeah, Tim, he just likes a project, really, so maybe that's why he brought this home.
Definitely.
And it sounds like it was free. It was a floor model, and it was kind of free as long as Tim installs it. And that's where Tim loses Jill. Because she doesn't want anything that Tim's going to have to do.
Well, she's watched the show before.
She's seen it a few times.
She knows what's going to happen. Yeah. Jill's skeptical. She doesn't necessarily have faith in Tim to install this particular product. They kind of dicker back and forth for a while, and eventually Jill agrees to let Tim do it under the impetus that he will get it done quickly and not make a mess and all those kind of things, which, well, you can guess how that's going to play out.
How's it going to play out? I don't know.
Oh, just guess. Just guess.
Yeah. So outside, Tim, he started work, and immediately it's going terribly. Tim is drying off the carpet pad because it looks like a water pipe burst. And so there's a hole in the floor. Jill comes home, and Tim tries to distract her to no avail. Although she says that they did this joke like 2 episodes ago, pretty much the same one, where she was working at the library or something, and all the boys were bothering her.
Yeah.
This time, not the mommy thing. It was they thought that she was the librarian. So reusing some jokes here, not good either way.
No.
She sees the hole. She goes off on him. Tim tries to combat this by like talking at the same time as her.
Yeah.
As she goes off.
Yeah.
Not effective. She goes upstairs. She's upset.
Yeah. It's pretty stupid. And Tim, as opposed to just kind of apologizing and saying, "Hey, I'm working. I'm sorry," he just kind of gets mad at her and blames her for coming home earlier than he expected, which defies any kind of logic. But she storms upstairs. As she does, the doorbell rings, and we get a new and exciting character that we're going to see upwards of 30 additional times throughout the podcast run.
I hope he grows on us.
I fear that he will not. This is a man, I call him Marty.
A man who needs no introduction?
And Tim calls him brother. This is Tim's never before mentioned brother, Marty. I believe. I don't know that have we heard of him before? We've heard of Steve, who is apparently not coming back.
I think we've heard of another brother too, but not Marty. Marty's the younger brother.
Well, Marty's the younger brother. He's just in town on a sales trip. He's very, very obviously Canadian. I don't know why, as an actor, he can't. We'll find out in his bio in a second, but I'm certain he's Canadian. As an actor, I just wish he would maybe do more to hide his Canadian accent. He comes in, and Tim kind of explains the situation. Jill's mad at him. They have some banter back and forth. He says that he would have called, but the phone was dead. That makes Jill even madder.
Yeah, those were the wires that Tim snipped. He's kind of a little bit of a buffer for Tim, so Tim's happy to see him, and seems like they have a pretty good relationship upon first meeting him. Do you want to do Marty's bio now?
I do, yeah. I guess he's not Canadian. Man, he sounds like it. He's from Chicago, which I should be able to recognize a Chicago accent, being that I live not far outside of it, but I'm questioning. I know IMDb is not always accurate. I think he's actually from perhaps Alberta. So Marty is played by, William O'Leary, and he was born October 19th, 1957. I tell you that for no other reason than to stall a little bit as it loads. Notable credits: he played Jimmy in Bull Durham. He played Pete, Dead Meat Thompson, in Hot Shots. 57 credits to his name. He has a film in 2018 that's in pre-production called Bitcoin, so he's getting that cryptocurrency craze.
Crypto craze.
Hey man, Marty's just trying to hop in on the action.
Striking while the iron is hot.
Yeah, it's super hot. Every day I think it gets more and more valuable from what I'm hearing. He'll be, like I said, he'll be in 30 additional episodes as Marty Taylor all the way until looks like the series finale. Other credits, a lot of 90s stuff, your traditional Sabrina the Teenage Witch, NYPD Blue, Chicago Hope, Murder, She Wrote. And you know what? He was also in a TV show called Dear John. So there you have it.
There you have it, Marty. Not endearing so far. Well, I guess so far he's endearing.
So far he's endearing. It's at the end when we'll be talking about Marty
really,
as a character.
Really goes on a roller coaster. Later at home, Brad, Tim, and Marty are working to fix this hole. Brad is apparently off-screen downstairs working with the water, and it goes right in Tim's face. So that doesn't work really.
And then
really
Brad
well.
said, "What you doing in my water?" I like you. Do you like me?
What do you think of me?
What do you think of me? Make an assessment.
If you don't know what we're talking about, maybe we'll post a link in Twitter. That'll be fantastic.
It's a really old, stupid YouTube video that.
Maybe it'll resonate with our audience.
I bet it hasn't aged well, but that's all right.
I'm sure it
We'll
has.
still post it.
maybe just a
clip. Yeah, maybe another Mark-esque boomerang or something. Yeah,
something like that. All right. So now that I'm very distracted by old Greg, Marty. So. Marty wishes.
I've really taken you out of the episode. For that, I apologize. But also,
I'm frazzled.
Perhaps we should be applauded because we're not going anywhere here, really. I'll pick it up. So
please.
So Brad and Marty and his father, mostly just Tim, is kind of working on fixing the water. He gets sprayed with water in the face, which.
You're just repeating what I said, so we're not going too far yet.
Yeah, well, I want to make it clear. I want to drive.
You really want to put
home the fact that the water was in the
context.
Face. Yeah, well, I've read an article recently in one of my classes, and it was about writing. It was about
Marty.
It was about Marty specifically, and it was about writing fiction. It said, "Show, not tell." So I think by repeating it twice, I'm kind of painting a picture of what has happened.
Sure, by telling us.
You buy that? I'm showing. I'm being descriptive. Anyways.
What was the floor like?
It had a hole.
Good. I just want you to describe it.
Yeah, it had a hole. Yeah, it definitely had a hole.
It wasn't like the Grand Canyon or anything.
Yeah, it had a hole, and they were spraying water, and that's really all I have for this scene. Is there more to it?
Yeah, well, Marty kind of starts. You get the idea that Marty and his wife Nancy are having some issues because.
Yeah, do you think so? Did he make that clear every scene? You could say something in a scene with Marty. You'd be like, "Man, sure is cold outside." You'd be like, "Yeah, cold like my bum wife."
He does tell a story of her yelling at him because he lost his uncle's ashes.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And then Tim had to smoke so many cigars. So to replace that?
That's almost blasphemous.
It's pretty bad.
Yeah.
I hope nobody else knows about that.
And then Tim's like, "Yeah, I'm tired. I need to lay down." And Marty's like, "Yeah, you know what? I'm tired of my friggin' wife. Raising my twins. Garbage woman."
Wait till we get there.
Yeah, all right, fine.
Tool time.
Yeah.
Time for Tool time. Tim.
Terrible scene.
Tim is so excited for the show of Tool time because Marty's there. So
Al gets... when he goes up. Keep going.
He's like punching him.
Yeah, it's so. Ugh.
And Marty's like, "Oh, you're silly, Tim.
Stop it!
You're silly, big brother.
You're bad."
I guess it's supposed to show that these two have a great relationship.
Yeah,
they're just showing. They're showing and not telling us that.
Yeah, it's more effective. Yeah.
So on Tool Time, they're going to talk about abrasives, basically sanding and polishing a bunch of car hoods. It's not real exciting. There is several jokes about flannel, and Tim even has a giant flannel joke book and a wallet-sized version that he pulls out when Al takes that away.
Right.
So, really good, hilarious.
Do you think, Tim just had that there and was kind of, waiting for the opportunity to bring that joke out, or was he just so sure that Al was going to bring up flannel that particular episode that he had it planned? I don't know. It seems a lot of foresight went into that one.
Yeah, and it was hiding. He put a lot of foresight in a lot of different things in this episode of Tool Time because he brings back the nagging wife bit with the holding up the placards.
Yeah.
So he was thinking a lot about this episode.
He put on a show for his brother.
Yeah, he wanted Marty to be impressed. We weren't impressed, though.
No. Well, we've seen more shows than Marty. Safe to say. Yeah.
Marty's not as big of a fan as everyone else.
Yeah. So we cut to Big Mike's.
Place we haven't been in a while.
Yeah, we haven't been there. Big Mike's Tavern. And I wrote here that Marty's Canadian. Again, the second time, and I've since been proven wrong.
You're gonna be editing Wikipedia after this episode.
Seriously, I need to get some birth certificates. I tell you, it's like Obama truthers up in here.
Marty truther.
Marty truthers. So they walk in, and Marty and he's like, "Did you like the show?" Marty's like, "Only in America could someone like you have a TV show."
In Canada, we don't have that type of
Yeah,
stuff.
it's like I don't know what that means. I guess
He also was surprised that Tim was able to get away with the abrasive jokes and the nagging wife jokes.
Yeah.
Tim plans and times these for when Jill's already mad at him.
We sure have never seen that before. You know, that's something I haven't seen. They go up to the bar. This is kind of a pet peeve of mine in shows where, like, they go up to the bar and Tim says, 2 brewskis. And the guy says, okay.
What kind?
Yeah, like they're. I mean, okay. Granted, there's a lot more. There's various more beer now than there was then. But like, you know, even in 1994, a lot of different kinds of beer that exist at a bar. So if you got to be specific. They do that in like even new shows still do. They'll be like, "Can I have a beer?" It's like, no, nobody goes to a bar and orders a beer.
Can I have a Duff?
I mean, Jay, at least it's specific. It's like, can I have a? You wouldn't go to the restaurant. It's like, can I have a pop? Can I have a soda? Like, you got to be specific.
Yeah,
and
I wonder if it's because of
they can't copyright.
Yeah, it's not like if they said, "Can I have a Bud?" or whatever.
I would prefer
they would
he
have
said,
to get...
"Can I have a light beer?" Then at least give me something specific to go off. And then the bartender gives him the beer, and it's half foam. So there's only half beer, half foam. This is unrealistic.
Yeah, I don't like it.
It's as if the writers have never been to a bar.
Well, they know that there's darts at a bar.
Yeah. Hey, all right.
So, are you a dart player? Are you? I know.
A little
You're
bit.
an eagle eye. You've got kind of some accuracy in that arm of yours, so I thought you might be a good dart player.
Definite eagle eye. I feel like I've played darts more in the last year, probably, than I have in the other 26 years combined. So, if I'm playing, it's going to be at a bar. I'm fine.
Andrea got me a really cool dart set.
So did my dad last Christmas, and it's still in the laundry room on the ground.
Well, see, we had it, and when we lived in an apartment, we had it up and actually played quite a bit with friends and just each other. And since we moved here, it makes a lot of holes in the wall.
Yeah, that's the problem.
So we haven't put it up quite yet. So it's hanging out in the closet.
I think that's where
soon.
A lot of dartboards people get as gifts end up closets.
I like playing it, so I just kind of need an area, and it's a little too hot.
Sounds like
to
you're
put it
making
in
a lot
the
of
garage.
excuses. If you wanted to put it up, you just put it up. You'd find a way. How long have you been in this house for?
Too long. It's not my house. I can't take ownership of it.
From what I hear, the people that own the house are pretty close, so you could probably just ask them for permission.
Is it going to go in my room? Is it going to go in their room? Is it going to go
You can put it in like a chair.
In a chair?
Yeah, you just put it in a chair, like a kitchen chair. Dining room table chair. Just stand back a little bit.
These are like the darts that are like sharp tipped.
Yes. Why couldn't you? So?
And the board is like a big wooden thing that is enclosed. It wouldn't fit just on like a chair.
You don't own big chairs? I guess we gotta take this offline.
Yeah, we're just a little chair type of family. So.
Oh, sure, that makes sense. I should have guessed. All right.
All right, so back, darts got us off track.
Don't
surprise,
bother.
surprise.
Yeah, they're playing darts. Tim's bad.
He hits like 6 feet underneath the board.
Yeah, you couldn't throw it that poorly unless you were specifically trying to. And they're not that far away. They're definitely not regulation length away.
No, absolutely not. They're cheating. Again, Marty and Nancy are fighting all day, every day, since they had the new babies. They have twins, as you mentioned earlier. And he says this phrase that is just indicative of, like, the way that he's viewing the situation. He comes home from work, and she hands him the baby. He's like, I need a break.
Yeah.
What is she doing all day?
Yeah.
And that kind of sentiment.
Mm-hmm.
And he isn't appreciative of it. And it seems like the relationship...
Marty's got a really difficult sales job. You know how hard it can be doing sales. Just very stressful.
You got to hit those numbers.
Sure.
The relationship that he had in mind for their marriage has really changed and deteriorated since they've had kids. Gets so bad to the point that Marty is thinking about leaving her. And Tim reacts in an abrasive way, I suppose you could say, since we're talking
but don't skip the breastfeeding joke, though,
Oh, what was... I don't even I didn't even write that down.
He said, "Yeah, I don't know, something like, yeah, I heard your wife is it's hard being a stay-at-home mom, especially after you feed the kids. I heard she's quite drained after that."
Oh, yes.
It's gross.
He was kind of proud of himself too.
Yeah, it's pretty. It's like kind of nasty. It's like Tim, I don't need that side of you. Thanks.
Hey, when you're at Big Mike's and eating a stinky, that's the kind of stuff that comes out.
Just ripped one afterwards.
Don't you remember Jack Elam making the same joke?
Yeah, but he's like 90, and it's kind of funny, you know. It's like, he's incorrigible. Tim, you should know better.
Yeah. Well, Tim, in maybe a better moment than that joke, goes off on his little brother, calls him an idiot. Marty ends up running out of the bar.
Yeah, it's weird. It all of a sudden gets very, very serious.
Heated.
It's heated. And so Marty says he's thinking about leaving. And, basically then it just kind of becomes a shouting match. And, Tim calls him a gutless loser and he just, runs out. And it's really, really weird. And there's a lot of tension. And then he's like, and that's the brother I do like.
Yeah. I do like Marty gets up and throws some money on the table, and Tim says that's not going to cover the beers. That was funny.
Knowing what we know later, that Marty actually went outside and just stood there and hid and waited for Tim to leave, that just adds to the overall cowardice of Marty. I mean, I don't know. I'm certain we're not supposed to like this character, but I feel like he's even less likable than they think he is.
We'll get into it later, but okay. I don't. Yeah, we'll get into it later.
I mean, I just can't. 30 more times. This is gonna happen. We're gonna see this 30 times.
He can't be like this going forward, can he?
I remember the character of Marty as a young person, and even then I thought, this guy is a bummer. So, hey, that's all I'll say.
Wah, wah. All right, you know who's not a bummer?
Randy?
Randy.
Yeah.
Randy's outside. He is going to bother his mom, who is still trying to study. I think that's kind of her struggle this episode. She's just trying to study, and she can't go anywhere.
That's what she's doing. She's studying. Can't finish her paper.
Can't do it. Randy's hungry, but he's also happy she hasn't been cooking lately, so I'm not sure what he wants at this situation.
Yeah.
I guess they're waiting on pizza, aren't they? Is that it?
Yeah. Tim's supposed to bring home pizza.
Okay, so Tim's supposed to be bringing home pizza. Jill feels like she's bothering him, so she can't study on her mood disorders. That leads to a Randy joke where he basically says, you're going to do great on that test, because she's apparently having mood disorders.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So another great joke there. Brad comes over. He's got a different problem. Is he trying to use the phone?
Yeah, he wants to use it. He's trying to call Ashley.
And Jill just says, go down the street. Everyone lives in the same neighborhood for the Taylors.
Yeah, this is a tight-knit community. Everybody, lives around the corner. I wonder if she lives by Curtis.
Either that or the McGurns.
Yeah, stay away from those guys. Although Brad's probably not afraid of him.
Not anymore.
He's bigger. He's got a girlfriend. He's pretty cool. Tim enters in a huff, and he's angered. And he forgot to get the pizza, and it's kind of revealed pretty quickly that he's upset about something. Jill pushes him, and we find out that
they start an altercation.
Yeah, she physically pushes him on the ground.
She says, I just want to study for my test.
Let me finish my paper. You had one job, you idiot. No, and Tim basically just says, Marty wants to leave Nancy. And then she, for whatever reason, assumes that, he would have already told her. I didn't really get that.
Yeah, I think Tim introduces it like he is already going to do it, where Marty brings it up as, I'm thinking about it.
Yeah.
Jill is concerned, like you said, asks how Tim handled it. Initially, she likes the way he handled it, as far as, don't run out, take it like a man.
Yeah.
He goes on to say, your life is over once you have kids, and you should accept it.
Right. She doesn't like that.
Yeah, she takes a little umbrage with that. Jill wants to talk to him next. She thinks she can talk some sense into Marty.
Because she's studying psychology. She's in Psych 1, so there's some qualifications there.
Not even 101 anymore, just one.
She isn't even, just one.
She's in remedial psych.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how that scene ends. Outside that night...
It's a dark and kind of a windy night.
It's a dark and windy night.
It's as if someone just had access to, some sort of a large fan, and they wanted to put it to use, because it is quite obviously windy outside for whatever reason.
Either that, I think we should probably get our Wilsometers out.
Oh, yeah, speaking of wind. All right. I used to keep mine outside, but I put it it's in a new case right by my desk, so let me just grab it. Let me just grab it. Okay, it's open. Don't we need to play the clip before we?
Yeah, I just wanted to help you prepare.
Okay, thanks for telling me that. Yeah. So Tim is he's got to explain the situation, and it is a windy night, and that is not important, but it's.
But you're gonna keep saying.
But it's interesting. So let's go ahead and play that clip, and then we're gonna check our Wilsometer at the same time. All right, play it.
Wilson, what are you doing? Tim, I'm pondering my bonseki. Isn't it funny how guys never get tired of doing that? No, Tim. A bonseki is a miniature Japanese rock garden.
Wow, let me see.
Don't touch it. Oh. You see, Tim, the Zen Buddhists believe that by contemplating its tiny symbolic landscape, one could achieve greater understanding.
Maybe it'll help me understand what's wrong with my brother. I had a fight with him today and haven't seen him since.
Really? I thought you two got along rather well.
Oh, we usually do. My dad died, and he was only 1. I was 11. Mom went back to work, so I took care of him a lot.
That's a lot of responsibility.
Yeah, it was a lot of good times, too. I taught him how to, do all sorts of stuff. Hock a loogie, shoot a spitwad. Boy, no one teaches spitwad shooting better than me.
Well, I'm aware of that. Your boys have launched a few wet ones over my way.
I taught him how to ride his bike, drive his first car.
So what you're saying is you were part father, part brother.
Yeah, kind of like a frother. I'm afraid Marty's about to make the biggest mistake of his life, and there's not a darn thing I can do about it.
And you wish there was something you could do.
Yeah. I spent most of my life taking care of him.
You know, Tim, the Roman orator Apicus Claudius Caecus once said that every man is the architect of his own fortune. Now, Marty is a man. He's not a boy anymore.
When he was a kid, he'd listen to me anytime I wanted. All he would do is tie him to a tree and pour root beer on his pointed little head.
Tim, I think what your brother needs is for you to be a brother and a friend.
Instead of a frother, more of a brand.
In a manner of speaking.
Night, Wilson.
Sayonara, Tim.
Marinara to you, too.
So, we're getting Wilsey with it, as you...
As
he's aptly said between the clip. So, he explains the situation to Wilson, as he's wont to do. And we get a little bit of context here. Tim's 10 years older than Marty, which I wonder if that's true in real life. Probably not. And Tim's father died when Marty was very young, and Tim acted as sort of a father figure. He helped to raise him, and so he feels like, he feels compelled to sort of keep doing that old habits die hard kind of thing. Wilson says, a famous philosopher, I didn't write it down, says that, man is the architect of his own future. Marty is an adult. He's his own man. He can make his own decisions. And what he really needs as opposed to a father is just a brother and a friend. He ain't heavy. He's just irresponsible.
And then he sings the song with different lyrics, kind of Weird Al-like. So Wilson gives his advice, so that means it's time for the Wilsometers. Adam, I know it takes yours a little bit longer to calibrate than mine, so I guess I can go first.
Go ahead, yeah.
My Wilsometer reading, I'm looking at it right now. Maybe it's half empty, maybe it's half full. It depends on how you feel. Yeah. But it looks like it's about 50 for me.
Okay.
And the reason I would say is, treating Marty like a man and being a brother and friend, fine. But also, Wilson doesn't really say anything about, offering Tim's advice or sharing his experience or anything. That's a big crucial component. He's obviously making a huge mistake here. Right. So there's a difference between, telling him what to do and just allowing this stupid behavior to go unchecked. So all right, that's what I see on my Wilsometer.
All right, mine is actually pretty close. It reads 60 degrees Fahrenheit. Mostly, I feel like the advice he gives is good, but I feel like it is the second half. There should be he should be leading up to it. It should end with also Marty's his own man, and maybe you should just try to talk to him. But he's skipping over, like you said, the entire fact that Marty is being irresponsible, and maybe it's okay that Tim is coming down on him because he's making a big mistake. It's just a matter of kind of delivering that advice in a more like subtle way and not like yelling, I would say.
Yeah.
So I think that Wilson's advice is fine, but maybe there's more advice to be given, and like you said, he's kind of ignoring the fact that Marty is kind of thinking about running out on his wife and twin daughters. Like,
sounds like they haven't even been married that long either.
No, yeah, right. So it's a new relationship, and they just had twins, and Marty's like, it's hard, so Marty's just kind of thinking about ducking out.
I'm
so,
out. Marriage is easy.
So yeah, it's fine advice, but not.
You gave
there
an
should be
extra
more.
10 points mostly because you like Zen gardens, right?
Yeah, I love the bit about the joke about masturbation as well. So thinly veiled.
Perfect. All right, so you can put your Wilsometer away. Great. So glad that we don't actually have sound effects.
It's so creaky where I put it.
You went to a really nice like thrift shop and got like an antique.
Well, I put it in my armoire.
It's a big Wilsometer.
Yeah.
All right. So inside later on, Marty comes back to the house. He's pretty testy.
Hey, just get my stuff, okay?
What about the sales meeting? He's just gonna go to a hotel or something, I guess.
Kind of how Marty talks. Hey, I'm just getting my stuff, all right? Just leave me alone. That's kind of what he sounds like.
No wonder he's struggling in marriage. Tim wants to talk a bit more conciliatory than he was before. Mm-hmm. This is where we find out, like you said, he was waiting around, and then he came back into big mics.
What a cop. It's just like such a visual. Like he storms out of the bar, he goes around the corner.
He's like hiding behind a trash
and he's just
can,
like
probably.
kind of peeking out every like 10 or 15 seconds. Like, you leave that? Can I go in? Can I leave that? Yeah, it's interesting.
He's a character.
Yeah.
And Marty says, "I just wanted you to listen." And so at this point, this is when he's going to listen. And, Marty explains a little bit more. They've had no time together. It's been 6 months since there's been any... What's the metaphor they use here?
Music.
Music has been made, or love has been made. And Tim says, give it some time. It'll come back. There's a lot of metaphors here. Marty is trying to interpret his words as advice. And, Tim does a little bit more, like we said. Like, he tells him, like, his experience, which I think is helpful. In this situation, here's what you can expect, Marty, and just being realistic about it. Then Marty comes around pretty quickly, and they go out to the garage and work on the hot rod.
So it's like, I just can't imagine like leaving my girls. Like, hey Marty, FYI, if you get a divorce,
you just did that.
If you get a divorce, you don't have to leave your girls. Even if you divorce, like it's not like you're not going to see your kids anymore. Unless you're a total deadbeat, like you would still have
based
rights.
on the way that he's acting,
it's like he's gonna run, like he's gonna head off to Florida and just like cut off all contact.
He's gonna be hiding around the corner, waiting for his wife to leave the whole time.
Seriously, just peeking around.
Peeking around. So that leads us into the next part.
Did you talk about their grunt? They do grunt together.
Oh, they do grunt together. Marty grunts.
Kind of seems like my notes were better than yours.
Kinda, except for not really. Nice try. Nice try. There's some grunting. Would you say it's better or worse than Mark and Tim grunting in the first episode?
Equal.
All right.
Yeah, equal. Yeah.
Wasn't an option, but
so I made it one.
Last scene, Tim has finally figured everything out for the vacuum.
Oh, what a dark, ironic twist this is. It's not entirely dissimilar from what is it called? I just taught it in class. It's a short story. The Gift of the Magi. It's such a twist at the end. Like you just, oh man.
It's a classic monkey's paw type of situation.
Exactly. This is a monkey's paw scenario entirely. So go ahead and explain it. So in detail, slowly.
In super show not tell, right?
Yeah.
So Jill walks into the room. They start talking about the old fights.
I'm just kidding.
The old fights that they used to have versus the fights now. Knowing that they're in it for the long haul type of thing. Just real team building exercise here between Tim and Jill. Tim says, hey, I got this vacuum figured out. Let's give it a test. And plugs it in. Seems to work, but it sucks up her paper that she was working so hard to do.
The very paper of which she was working on the entirety of the episode.
So Tim got something to work, but
yeah,
not to Jill's advantage.
That vacuum is sucking. but it's sucking up the very paper of which Jill was working on the entire episode.
It's really like a Twilight Zone episode.
Yeah, it's a moralistic twist at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Don't study. Or don't try hard.
Don't work hard on things because they'll just get taken away from you.
Just be like Marty.
It's very nihilistic in many ways. Roll credits, fade to black. He ain't heavy. He's just irresponsible.
All right. Just another episode
Jordan.
79.
Oh, this is 79. Wow.
Why are you saying wow to that?
Wow, I can't believe we've done so many. Highs and lows, Jordan.
Wow.
Do you have any highs?
I did like the story about Uncle Henry's ashes.
Okay.
So that was fine. I guess Tim's initial reaction of him like getting mad and like berating his younger brother, I was kind of okay with that. Like that felt right to me. That felt like that's what Tim should do in that situation and how he would react. So I felt that was realistic. But overall, like, Marty is such an unrealistic character to me. He just doesn't seem like a person that would exist.
Marty is, he sucks. He's he's just like a really, like, he's a bad guy. Like, if what he's talking about doing is like actually what he intends to do, then like he is a complete deadbeat. So it's like hard to get behind someone like that.
Yeah, there's not really anything redeeming about him, unfortunately. I hope in the next 29 appearances there is.
What if it was this 29 times? 29 more times. He comes in, he's like, oh man, Nancy's we had four more kids. It's hard, and I've got to get out.
I gotta go.
I gotta go.
And then one episode, Tim just like punches him in the face.
Yeah, finally. Yeah.
So yeah, he felt like unrealistic, unredeemable. And then, like, the way that he turns at the end.
It's almost as if the episode ran out of time.
Or just wasn't planned overall. Yeah. We got the return of the nagging wife in those pictures. Something I could have done without. Overall, not great for me. How was it for you?
Not great, Jordan. Not great at all. Highs. I thought the Wilson scene was all right. Yeah, I mean, I think maybe you're right about the scene where Tim gets really mad at Marty. At least that was something kind of different, and it wasn't really, it was kind of undercut by a joke at the end, but for a while there it was sort of serious, and we don't see that a lot on this show. So that was, I suppose, interesting, unique. In general, I didn't really get a lot of laughs, though, so I can't say a specific joke. Lows, I mean, nothing new. Marty is just like Marty is an uninteresting, unlikable character. I do hope it gets better, because if I have to like watch or listen to him complain about his wife and like how hard it is to be a new father 29 more times, then I don't know how this podcast will continue. No, he's just like
Marty will be the one straw that breaks our camel's back.
Indeed, yeah. It's just, I don't know, like he's just like a bad guy. He's like not a good dude, and I just don't have any sympathy for him in this. And the fact that he's just like, he just had twins and he like resents his wife for not paying attention to him is just, it's really too much. Jill's subplot with getting a paper done really isn't much of a subplot at all. The kids are just like doing their own thing. Is Mark in this episode at all?
I think he's in it initially for just a moment.
Okay, well, thrust into stardom.
Whenever you're asking that question.
Yeah, that's true. When stardom happens, and that's what we think of when we think of Mark. No, it's just there's not a lot here, and the central conflict is not enjoyable, nor is it particularly realistic. So yeah, I would say bad episode overall, quite bad.
Has there been any other characters like this where we just like? I mean, you
Karen?
didn't like you, yeah, but at least like she was. I don't know.
That's the only thing I could think of. I was thinking like, this is the most ill will I felt towards a character since Karen, but that was more of a joke. Like, she was annoying, but like I didn't think she was like
a terrible,
like bad, like a bad person, or like I couldn't relate to her at all.
Bad.
Yeah. So yeah, no, I can't really think of anything like this. Like I said, I do remember this guy being a bummer from when I watched the show as a young lad. So if you're a young person, you can recognize that an adult is flawed, then he must be really, really flawed for a 7-year-old to pick up on that. So I don't know. I'm not going to hold my breath, but I do hope it gets better.
We'll be checking on the dimension and the depth of Marty going forward,
Mm-hmm.
and as we do continue forward, we're going to move into Sean's social media roundup. So, if you want to reach out to us, you can do so. Our website is thehomanpodcast.com. Homanpodcast@gmail.com is our email. If you'd like to reach out to us on social media, go to facebook.com/homanpodcast or on Twitter, we're at homanpodcast. If you'd like to support the show, you can do so for free by leaving a review on Apple Podcasts, iTunes, whatever it is called these days. And then also, if you'd like to support us monetarily for as little as $1 a month, just go to patreon.com/homanpodcast. And we'd really appreciate anything that you're able to give either way. So, Adam, what's going on Twitter? I know you had just like an incredible poll last week. So I'd like to hear the results of that and anything else that are going on.
Yeah, it was a good poll. Waiting for it to load here. So, yeah, it was about glasses specifically. I want to get the wording right. Scrolling
Do you have
down.
glasses, I think?
I think it was pretty simple. I think it was like, do you wear glasses?
Mm-hmm.
13 total votes. 8% said bad poll. That must have just been me that voted for that. 23% said no. 69% said yes. So that about
So we got some four eyes.
About does it for that one. People liked the video of Mark spinning. Got a lot of views on that. Additional action. Spencer Johnson tweeted at us an extended video of Tim flying with the Blue Angels from a few episodes back. I don't remember what episode that was exactly, but it's the one where it ends. It's like I guess it's Tim's birthday. So it ends with him flying with the Blue Angels, and apparently that was real, so he sent an extended video of that. Otherwise, yeah, not a lot going on here. Continue to follow us, tweet at us, vote in the polls, etc. And
I felt like you were going to share an email that you got at some point. Maybe a rejection email?
Oh, yeah. Good. Yeah.
We actually have, that's kind of an email. Maybe we have two pieces here.
Open the
Maybe
mailbag?
we should. Yeah, let's open the mailbag.
We haven't ripped open the mailbag in a long time.
Let's break it open.
You've got mail.
All right, up first in the mailbag, we got a message from a new fan named Becky. Just wanted to share her message to us. Said, "Hey guys, just wanted to say I recently found your podcast and have been going through your back episodes. I'm really digging this show. It's been a fun way. It's been fun having a new way to go through the episodes. Grew up near Detroit and always loved having a connection to that TV show. Thanks for doing this, and I look forward to checking out the rest of the episodes." So very kind words from Becky. Thank you for just writing into us. We appreciate that. And, I encouraged her, as we often do with people who find the show, just to stick with us. Some of the early episodes are a little bit rough compared to
We
what
talked
we
a
have
little
now.
about like ancient aliens early on, though. That was pretty good.
Oh, did
Solid.
we?
Yeah, solid.
That's good.
I also think I gave you a couple minutes to talk about Kid Nation, so there's been some...
There's some gems in there, but I think, on
Sound
the whole,
quality-wise.
maybe sound quality wasn't that great. There was one whole episode where I had to record my whole side to your whole side.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that? Because, mine...
Yeah, I remember having to do it, I had computer issues for a while, and I had to do it, off of my mom's Kindle. It was, what I was using to record. So, yeah, I mean, it's not always great, but we're always trying.
We're always trying. We hope we bring you a few laughs. And, Becky, tell your friends. If you haven't told someone... this is to all listeners. If you hadn't told someone about the show, what are you waiting for?
I like it when you say that because you're imagining a world where, this would come up in conversation.
Sometimes you have to force conversation. If you want to be a home and podcast evangelist, you just got to put yourself out there.
What has to happen, Jordan? Tell us.
You got to put yourself out there.
Okay, great. So
why don't you share what's in your mailbag?
All right, so this message comes from email address redacted. Tim Allen interview. This is in response to a message I sent on December 21st, and this came about a week ago, so about February. It's about 2 months late. Hi, Adam. We appreciate the offer. However, at this time, Tim Allen is unavailable for an interview. thanks for reaching out. Best. Name redacted. So some bad news. The name is actually in the photo I posted, but the email address isn't. So I had reached out to Tim Allen's representatives around Christmas time, and finally heard back. I don't know. I wasn't really offering, and it wasn't so much an offer. I don't know if there was some confusion there. I kind of just wanted to get him on the phone for about 15 minutes. I wasn't really offering anything in return, but heartbreaking news, obviously. Our
goal.
No one's going to break my stride, though. I'm going to keep trying.
Yeah, and I mean that's our goal this year to get Tim on the podcast at some point. So maybe we're going to have to use some other connections. Maybe get the Karn man involved. I don't know. I know that's inevitable, but I do feel kind of sheepish asking the Karn man, like, hey, think maybe you could help me out? I mean, I don't know. I really would like to avoid that, but maybe if fans of the show, if you guys could ask Richard Karn for us, that would be helpful. Either that or just like everyone at all, if you want to be a good home and podcast evangelist, tweet at Tim Allen and just waves of like, we want you on home and podcast. We want you on home and podcast.
Yeah, I mean, so far they weren't interested in the offer, and it was a grand offer at that. I was offering so much in return, you wouldn't believe it. King's ransom.
Ransom. It was a real NBA trade deadline type of deal.
It was. But we'll keep trying, and I remain confident that by the end of the show we will have Tim, and I would like to have him on by the end of the year. Other cast members were interested in having on as well. Reach out to them and let them know you want to see him on there, because we're certainly trying. Got the Karn man pretty quickly, but and that was a big get. But
huge get.
It's proven more difficult to corral other cast members. So.
Yeah, the momentum seemed to have stalled there. So we'll keep trying though. Yeah. But glad we got a response. Not so happy with what it actually said. So
it was like Friday at it was like 6 p.m. when I got that email.
It was the last thing on that person's to-do list.
I was about to go to a rehearsal dinner for a wedding, and I saw it, and I was like, huh.
It really bummed you out, didn't it?
I was like, huh,
That wedding turned out to be terrible because of your mood.
Yeah, it ruined the whole weekend for me. I was just sulking in the corner. I was like, I couldn't get Tim for my podcast. Otherwise, follow us, rate and review us on iTunes, things like that.
All that good stuff. All right. Moving on to the question of the week. It is my turn this week. Not a lot to talk about in the actual episode. I was, trying to think as we went up there. I wasn't going to talk about like how much you had to vacuum growing up with all your chores or anything like that. But maybe Brad's shirt that is giant and says cleats stuck out to me. So I want to ask, and perhaps this is not a good question, but perhaps it is. What was your middle school, 5th grade to 7th grade, 8th grade, whatever, attire like? Were there certain brands that you gravitated towards? I know that your fashion is impeccable now.
Yeah, no one's debating that.
If you see the periscopes, if you see your Instagram, all that type of stuff.
Yeah.
We just know that you're a fashionista. Mm-hmm. But I'm wondering if that was always true.
I would say it was not always true in terms of what I wore 5th, 6th, 7th grade. I don't have a lot of memories of that in terms of where I was.
You blocked it out?
Blocked it out. In terms of where I was shopping, a lot of Old Navy, I'm imagining. I remember putting a lot of prioritizing, every year for school I would buy, a pair of athletic shoes to wear. Those would be, my new school shoes. And I know that I put a lot of thought into that. I remember getting a pair of, T-Max just to wear to school.
Man, T-Max were...
T-Max 2s. Whatever the white and blue ones.
Yeah, those were huge.
Yeah, those were sweet. So I remember thinking a lot about that. In terms of, everyday clothing, I was a little bit heavier back then. I know I didn't feel very comfortable in my clothing necessarily, which is probably not, kind of a bummer of a response. But, I don't know. I look back at school pictures and stuff, and there isn't, a particular style. But I'm assuming, I was probably trying to wear what everybody else was wearing. American Eagle, I know, was something that kind of became more prominent later on. So probably a lot of, Aeropostale, Old Navy, and then, like I said, a lot of time thinking about basketball shoes.
Yeah, you've taken shots at my attire before. That was high school. I think there's probably more justification at I can't really remember like maybe 7th and 8th grade.
Yeah.
But 5th grade, I remember. Man, I wore so much and one stuff.
Yeah.
And like and one and basketball shorts. You would have thought like I was just constantly playing basketball wherever I was.
Yeah.
And like dribbling a basketball down the hall or something.
Yeah.
I don't know why I wore that so much. You know, it didn't stick around in my attire much after that year. But I just remember a lot of and one, and then not a lot of people around me wearing that type of clothing. So
Yeah, it's weird that people in Davison weren't all wearing and one. And presumably FUBU as well. I bet you had some FUBU stuff.
No, I didn't have FUBU.
Okay,
I don't remember FUBU.
That's good at least.
I had a deal with and one. It was kind of like an exclusive rights type of situation.
You were, what's it called? An influencer.
I would say so.
Yeah. That's funny.
So yeah, that's what I wore a lot back then. But good to know that our tastes have changed maybe a little bit.
Yeah.
now.
I mean, like I've said before, I don't think you wore a pair of jeans until you turned like 23, 24. I don't think you finally put on a belt and a pair of slacks until you were much, much older. I just remember you in a lot of sweats.
I think the only time I did that in high school was when, like, during a basketball game.
Where you had to dress up like the day of.
I had to wear some khakis and stuff.
Yeah. Khakis.
Those were the days.
Those were the days. Now you work from home and you can wear sweatpants every day if you want to.
I'm not wearing them right now. It's
that's
too
crazy.
hot down here to wear sweatpants,
That's true.
actually.
That's
so.
true. Yeah. Humble brag. All right.
Yeah, I'm bragging about the heat.
That's this week's episode. He ain't heavy.
He's just irresponsible. You know what we're covering next week, Adam?
I think it's a Halloween episode. I don't know what it's called though.
It's called Borland Ambition.
Like Blonde Ambition. Is that what they're doing? These episode titles are getting worse and worse. We always like a Halloween episode, so that's something to look forward to. So.
Absolutely. So, thanks, Adam.
Yeah.
I had a good time today.
Jordan, it's been a real pleasure. Thank you for joining me, listeners. Thank you for listening, and I guess I should say, take care.
Take care, everybody.